Testing hypotheses using a pre-specified significance level does not require computing p-values. In the previous example of testing the hypothesis that the mean earnings of recent college graduates is $20 per hour, the t-statistic was 2.06. This value exceeds 1.96, so the hypothesis is rejected at the 5% level. Although performing the test with a 5% significance level is easy, reporting only whether the null hypothesis is rejected at a pre-specified significance level conveys less information than reporting the p-value. Key concept 3.5. The terminology of hypothesis testing. A statistical hypothesis test can make two types of mistakes. A type 1 error, in which the null hypothesis is rejected when in fact it is true, and a type 2 error, in which the null hypothesis is not rejected when in fact it is true. The pre-specified rejection probability of a statistical hypothesis test when the null hypothesis is true, that is, the pre-specified probability of a type 1 error, is the significance level of the test. The critical value of the test statistic is the value of the statistic for which the test just rejects the null hypothesis at the given significance level. The set of values of the test statistic for which the test rejects the null hypothesis is the rejection region, and the set of values of the test statistic for which it does not reject the null hypothesis is the acceptance region. The probability that the test actually incorrectly rejects the null hypothesis when it is true is the size of the test, and the probability that the test correctly rejects the null hypothesis when the alternative is true is the power of the test. The p-value is the probability of obtaining a test statistic by random sampling variation at least as adverse to the null hypothesis value as is the statistics actually observed, assuming that the null hypothesis is correct. Equivalently, the p-value is the smallest significance level at which you can reject the null hypothesis. What significance level should you use in practice? This is a question of active debate. Historically, statisticians and econometricians have used a 5% significance level. If you were to test many statistical hypotheses at the 5% level, you would incorrectly reject the null on average once in 20 cases. Whether this is a small number depends on how you look at it. If only a small fraction of all null hypotheses tests are in fact false, then among those tests that reject, the probability of the null actually being false can be small. Exercise 3.22. This probability, the fraction of incorrect rejections among all rejections, is called the false positive rate. The false positive rate can have great practical importance. For example, for newly reported statistically significant findings of effective medical treatments, it is the fraction for which the treatment is in fact ineffective. Concern that the false positive rate can be high when the 5% significance level is used has led some statisticians to recommend using instead a 0.5% significance level when reporting new results. Benjamin et al. 2017.